Dating a high value man. Avoid these guys. One woman story. A lot of ladies aspire to date a high value man or a high value rich man, and they should. If they're able to attract and keep these kind of men, they're going to live lives that most women don't even dare dream of. There are a tremendous amount of benefits of dating and marrying a high value man or high value rich man. I cover some of these benefits in these videos and in my full master course. Yet, with a lot of dating coaches and social media influencers, you don't really understand and know high value men and high value rich men. What they won't tell you is that there are some that you may want to avoid. Let's talk. Hi, I'm Dr. Dillon Wilson, the couples coach. Since college, I've been helping couples with dating, falling in love, and relationships. In this video, I'm sharing with ladies, if you're serious about your future, tips on how to meet, date, and marry the high value rich man of your dreams. All right, in this video, I'm going to share with you one of three horror stories of three women who were dating high value rich men. By the time you finish hearing these stories, you're going to know some of the warning signs to look out for, starting within yourself. Yes, it starts with you. And also what to look out for with any high value man that you may meet. So I'm going to change the names, to protect the identities of the innocent. I'm not going to use the actual people's names. So we're going to call this woman Tina. So we're going to meet Tina. Now, Tina was an ex-flame of one of my best friends. He was a high value man. Now, I know this story because she told him everything that happened, and he in turn told me. And I, in turn, am now telling you. This is how secrets are kept, right? All right. So Tina was a woman who just didn't want to work. I mean, she was a lazy ass, and I don't say it just because she didn't want to work. She was lazy. Just there was nothing wrong with her. She was an intelligent woman. She just woke up one day and was like, you know what? I don't like to work, and I don't want to work anymore. And that's not wrong. Yeah, it is what it is. So she didn't want to work. She was in her mid-20s, single with no children. Again, you got kids, you don't want to work, you want to stay at home. That makes sense. You got nothing, you just want to lay up on your butt all day. That's not wrong. Not wrong. So the other thing was she was considered to be very physically attractive. She had a physical beauty rating of probably a 7. So a pretty girl. Now, listening to her friends and peers, she decided that she would find a man who literally would take care of her. She wanted to have the freedom of sitting around the house watching TV all day, talking to her friends on the phone, going out for lunch every day to sushi bars, cool little cafes, restaurants, and more. Not a bad plan, right? She also wanted to be able to go shopping during the day and whatever she wanted to do, anything she wished to do, with literally no responsibility whatsoever. She didn't want to have a job, remember? She didn't want to pay bills, didn't want to cook. I mean, not like she was doing stuff around the house. She didn't want to do anything, right? Nothing. Now, the key thing is hearing this, you can understand why she was my best friend's ex. Well, that relationship did not bear fruit. So, in any event, she figured with her looks, she could find a man who would go for that. Believe it or not, she was right. So, she found a high income earning man. She admitted to, again, my best friend, that the guy was not very physically attractive. Yet she was able to live the lifestyle that she wanted. She called up my best friend, a high value man himself, to kind of rub his nose in this development. Give him a little update. Yeah, I got the man I wanted. This guy's willing to do things that you weren't willing to do. Right. So here's what happened. Initially, her life was exactly what she had hoped it would be. She didn't have to work. She slept in late every day. So all of her favorite TV shows, went out to lunch at the local restaurants in the city every day. She would go shopping, get her hair and nails done, all on her high value rich man's dime. She didn't have to cook, clean, or anything. Now, I'm going to pivot for a moment. I know a lot of guys that are 6-figure men and high value rich men. Many are my friends and buddies, some are my colleagues, and they all simply want a good woman and wife. If you're serious and have good intentions, I'd like to help you find your high value man. That's why I put together the most complete online master course called How to Find, Date, and Marry a Six Figure Man. He's going to date and marry some woman. Why not you? Go to richguydatingtips.com to learn more. I guarantee you three things will happen when you take my course. One, if you follow my advice, you will meet high income earning men, 6 to 7 figures or more. Two, you will start dating six figure men. And three, one or more of them will consider you for marriage. This course is so solid that as long as you do what I share with you, then all of that will happen for you. So if dating and ideally marrying a high value man or rich man is what you desire, then definitely check it out. All right, let's get back to it. So here is what Tina hadn't counted on, right? Everything is groovy and awesome, right? Initially. Here is what was on the horizon that she couldn't foresee. There were very strict conditions, and I mean strict with a capital STRICT, very strict conditions on her freedom, right? More so freedom from adulthood and responsibility. That's what her freedom was from. And so this guy controlled every aspect of her life. Every dime that she spent, she had to account for. She literally had to show receipts. When she would go out in his car, and again, he had like I think some nice car. I don't recall if it was a Mercedes or something yet. She had a room car. When she would go out in his car to go to lunch, shopping, or anywhere else, when he would come home, he would look at the odometer of the car. The odometer is what tells the mileage on the car, how many miles you put on the car, or kilometers, depending on which country you're in. And he would then talk to her and determine the distance to each place that she had traveled to that day. So she says she went to some cafe. Then he would check. I'm not making this up. He would check online the mileage from their house to that cafe and back. Of course, my buddy's telling me this. We're cracking up, right? Because he couldn't believe it when she was telling him. I was like, this dude's doing all this, and he would measure the miles from the house to the cafe and then back, and then he would go look at the odometer in the car and make sure make sure that the mileage match, like a six or something. I mean, that's really amazing. So that's what she did. And he would do this all the time again to make sure that everything that she said matched up. And if ever there were any discrepancies in her story, he would ass. You know, usually the ass whoopings consisted of him slapping her around a few times. Then she'd start crying, and she said that she learned her lesson, and that would be that. Okay, so you'd figure after the first ass whooping, she would she would fall in line. One, she would leave, right? After the first ass whooping, she would pack up her stuff and leave. That's what you think she would do. No, that's not what she did. All right, so you say, okay, for whatever reason, you decide to stay. Man, I mean, again, he's slapping her around like he's punching her in the elbow and her giving her knees and uppercuts. I mean, it was a couple of slaps. Still, that for her, she figured, I guess she could deal with this. So it's like, all right, so you decide you're going to stay. So then, of course, you guess that she would fall in line with all of his rules. Wait a minute, fall in line with all of his rules, and all would be well. Right? So, okay, I know not to do that. Or if I go to the cafe and 7-Eleven, I make sure to tell them about the 7-Eleven. I leave the 7-Eleven now because then the mileage would be off. You figure that's what she would do, and all will be well. Well, that was not the case because as time went on, he became more and more controlling. Right? This is the thing you have to understand with these kind of men. It doesn't stop there. Someone who's controlling, there are women like this too. We're speaking specifically about these type of men. When someone wants to be controlling, and I'm not talking about someone who you're dating and they love you and they are looking out for you. They don't want you to dress a certain way. That looks very revealing. That's the kind of controlling that's good because you're going to be that way for him and he's going to be that way for you. That's different. We're talking about being super controlling to a fault, right? And so with these type of guys, it starts like this, and then it expands. It never stays small. So everything she did was measured and tracked, even down to the cell phone that he bought for her. And he will review the phone records each month. And she had to answer, who's this person? Who was this? And he called the numbers up. This is crazy, right? Yet it's just increased over time. Now, the other thing is she also really couldn't disagree with him because his word was law. And why wouldn't it be? In his mind, he owned her. She was essentially his pet. He was the parent and she was the child. She was not an adult who had her own responsibilities, job, which to do her part as a partner in a relationship. This is key. She was to be taken care of, yet still have some say in the house like an adolescent teenager, right? And that's how he saw it. Do you remember when our parents used to say to us when we were growing up, as long as you live under my roof, you'll follow my rules, something to that effect. That was her deal as well. Yet realistically, as long as she stayed on his good side, the quote unquote dream lifestyle that she always said she wanted, she would enjoy. All right, so what ultimately happened? Well, she got in contact with my best friend to let him know that she was no longer with that high value rich guy or even living with him anymore. When he asked her why, she essentially said that she had gotten tired of all the ass whoopings. I mean, I'm still amazed at that. I mean, she was kind of a smart mouth as well. That's what I mean. For her she was doomed from the beginning. Some people just wired, you just can't keep their mouth shut, right? She was one of those people. She got to, speak her mind, couldn't bite her tongue. She was doomed from the beginning with this guy. So she was, again, doomed to get slapped up for the very beginning of their relationship. Now, not surprisingly, after this, she was trying her best to get back with my buddy. Yeah, he was smart enough to say no, regardless of how she looked and how good the sex was. Apparently, the sex was good with her as well. Though, full disclosure, he did continue to have sex with her, just not have a relationship with her again, right? So ultimately, she said she had learned her lesson. And then all the things that my buddy had talked to her about before, about her having a career, so that if they were dating, they could build together, because he had already had a good career in the medical field. He already had his house and he already had investments. And he told her, again, when he was dating, these were the things that he said he wanted in a mate. Well, he talked to her about this. And he told her he wanted to have a woman who he could build something with. These were exact words. That he could have a lot more with a woman like this than without her. Yet when he first told her this, she wasn't interested in doing that. Again, she wanted a high value rich guy to take care of her. She told him that she wasn't interested in doing any of the things he asked about. She just wanted to be a kept woman. And this is why I always share with you to be careful what you speak out into the universe. Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find. These statements are accurate and for real. And Tina got exactly what she asked for and more. Ultimately, she learned her lesson. She moved back in with her mother, got a job, started paying bills, and learning how to live on a budget. So what's the takeaway from this story for you? Tina is not alone with her desire to be a kept woman. Many other women out there are many, I can't put numbers to it yet, you probably know some, that don't want to work, they don't want to have pay. I mean, none of us really want to have to pay bills and stuff. Yet we still do because we're adults. Yet there are some that don't want to do that. They'd rather kind of live off somebody, right? And especially the ones who are physically pretty and they can attract men. Sometimes they leverage that. And the stories I'm going to share with you, all three have the same qualities, live in different parts of the country, have the same exact qualities. So, they use their looks and they don't want to work. They don't want to pay bills. They don't have to be responsible in any way, shape, or form. And they could just want to live freely to spend their man's money as they see fit. Now, to be clear, this does not include women who want to be stay-at-home moms. All men respect a woman who prioritizes not working and focusing on raising children properly. Not talking about that. That's a beautiful thing, right? That's how it should be. If a woman wants to do that, that's ideal. A lot of other countries, that's still the case. Yet for ladies that want to be a kept woman, I mean, it doesn't sound like a bad way to live, right? Someone who just wants to, hey, I'm with him and I can do whatever I want. The thing to understand is that most high value men and high value rich men don't want a woman like this. Most of them know that if anything ever happens with their career business, that woman will leave them. She doesn't care about him. She cares about what he can do for her. The high value men that typically do go for these type of women, you are usually one of the following, and pay close attention to these. The first one are rich guys that are really old. All right. Oftentimes old enough to collect Social Security. Now, they know they have to pay to play if they wish to have a pretty younger woman on their arm. They typically do not hand out ass whoopings, though, right? You just have to embrace the gray and love those wrinkles. And there's plenty of these guys walking around, and you've probably seen some in the news like this. Guys that are billionaires, they don't look good at all, and they got some cheerleader, like in her mid-20s, as a girlfriend. It's consensual and it works for them, right? That's the first kind of guy. The second kind of guy are rich guys who are super controlling. They've learned through trial and error that the only type of women that will go for their type of treatment are women like Tina. Remember, that type of quote unquote freedom, which is really freedom from any type of responsibility or accountability or being an adult in a relationship, comes with strings attached and a high price. In future videos, I'll share stories of other women who weren't exactly like Tina, yet similar wants to her, and amazingly enough, seem to attract the same type of high value rich men. Like to get more rich guy dating tips in your inbox? Sign up at richguydatingtips.com. And make sure you watch my next video, the types of homes high value men buy. See you next video.